So team, welcome back to the day 2 continuation for our QTP live training for the batch of J19. What we'll be doing today is moving forward with the actual topics on HP QuickTest Professional or the HP Unified Functional Testing version 11.5. And what you will see is we will go forward with the remaining portions of what we left since our first initial sessions. So if you saw the initial session, the day 1, where I gave you the overview of what will be covered, what to expect from the entire training, and how you can install the trial version from HP, you must have downloaded the HP functional testing tutorial by now. What I want you to do is once you have done that, you will see that there will be the file which once you unzip will expand into all these folders. These are the folders that you need to start looking into eventually, but there is nothing that is very relevant for you from installation point of view except for the setup file. Double click on the setup file, and from there on it is a self-explanatory installation all through. You may require additional Microsoft features like the visual editor for your VB scripting. You will require the debugging tools and so on, which will automatically be suggested to you. You can accept it and that will get installed. All right. After the installation, you would find the icon for the HP Unified Functional Testing tool on your desktop. You can also go from your start and search for that specific tool in your machine. Now, once you have installed it, and you can start by double clicking, launching, and you would see your 30 days trial would start from the day you have installed it. So I've installed the trial version today. From now, for the next 30 calendar days, I would have access to this tool. Do note, if you have earlier installed HP QTP, the other earlier versions, or Unified Functional Testing earlier on the same machine, and you have expired with that specific trial period, you will no longer be able to use the licensed version in here. The trial version. All right. So you may need a new trial version or a new system to be able to practice for the next 30 days. Now, once you do that, then you can continue. If you have a license key that you purchased from HP directly, you can click on install license and take it. But once you click on continue, you would get what add-ons you want to start with. Just keep it for web to begin with. You can slowly add the other ones if you need it, depending on the type of application you're working with. But for now, I'm just going to say it's a web and say OK. And then the application will get launched. It is a completely redefined UI. The user interface is changed significantly from what was there in HP QTP 10 and beyond. So you will see a lot of new things have come into it. But the good part is the crux of everything remain to be the same. Okay, lot of what you have done with HP QuickTest Professional is continuing to be there. All right, so you can scan through some of these documents and look at what's new and so on. Okay, you'll see all the different listings of things that are there. You could look at the real unified functional testing, how it combines the GUI testing that QTP does and the API testing as part of it, how they've updated into a single IDE, okay, and then what are the new and improved checkpoints concept. So if someone has been using checkpoints, what is it that you can see in there and so on. More insights into various other features that have been evolved around it. Okay. Once we get there, we will also experiment around how we can start to work with Firefox as well as an additional browser apart from just IE. And that will be a major enhancement in terms of what we should be able to do. So that is the UI, but once we start with the tests, we will go deeper. But as always, I don't believe in starting with giving you a story or a background of what the tool is, unless we have a practical need and a sense of what we really will be doing going forward. So Where is my IE? Okay. What I did is I started using my Google Docs, and I'm going to put up some folders here that eventually will be uploaded onto the website ITeLearn.com, and you can start accessing it from there. So I'm just going to, instead of using any drive locally on my machine, I will take it directly from, I will use it in the drive, so it is easy for me to manage and share it later with my team to upload it into the website. Now, so before I move forward or I get started, I want to talk about what is it that we're going to do in the next few sessions, and what is it that we're going to go about doing it, okay? How we're going to do it. So to do that, the first thing I'll do is I'll create a simple spreadsheet, okay? A Google Doc spreadsheet. We'll later download and put it as an Excel file for you to access it. And I will say this is the automation plan overall. It is not an automation test plan team. It is not a very detailed test plan that it's got a lot of information. It is just an automation plan for learning, rather for beginners, I would say. If I was a beginner and I needed to write a quick plan, what would I do? And this would be my automation plan. In here, very simple, I'm going to put as to what are the tasks that I'm going to accomplish. All right. So here I will talk about different activities that we will perform, and then I will look into the status of it. Is that activity completed or not? This will tell me exactly my progress on a daily basis as to what we have done, what we're going to be doing coming forward, and so on. So now, what is it that we're going to look into in the coming few days? The first thing that I need to do is, at the end of the entire thing, I want you to be able to understand what is VB scripting. Okay, master VB script. All right, master the UI of QTP, or let's talk about UFT 11.5. All right, you should be able to know the art of automation. And I say the art of automation because I come across thousands of professionals in the software industry, and some of them really talk about the true art of development or automation or programming or architecture and so on. Everyone else do not know the basic concepts, and they talk about it more like a theory. Okay, they say that, hey, you know what, okay, this is what I heard and so on. So when I say the art of automation, I am intending that the fundamentals, if you learn them, everything thereon is going to be so easy for you to grasp. Okay, and that is what I want you to know. Okay, now this is the final outcome. All right, final expected outcome in, I would say, about 5 to 7 sessions. Each session being between 45 minutes to an hour. This is what is expected at the end completely. Okay, so, and this is a new template that I'm just trying to create quickly, so this will give you an idea of how we're going as we move forward. Okay, now between these, I'm sure there will not be 23 steps, but there will be many steps that will happen for us to get from here to there. The first one that we need to do is automate what? Okay, so you need to decide on the application that is under test. Unless you know the application, you cannot do much. Okay, then automate what portions, or the test cases and scenarios that you wish to automation for that application. Then you need to be able to identify as to how to automate. Okay, and then you will need to answer additional questions at each test step level. All right, As we go along, we will put in more tasks, but this is the fundamental. Unless we know the application and you really have a strength in the functionality of that, how it is supposed to be working, you wouldn't be able to do it. And in fact, before you go into automating it, you should be able to understand the manual testing process. Okay, insert one above and I'll say current manual testing process. Okay, what is the current manual testing process? And these are all the questions which will become a good checklist for you going forward to ask when you get into an automation project. Hey, what is it that we want to automate? How are we doing it currently? More importantly, before we get into how to automate, you can ask a question as to why should we automate? Why do we need to automate? Okay. What are the advantages of automation? Or currently, what are the disadvantages, or what is really blocking us from doing it manually? All right. How to automate? Additional questions at each test step level. Estimate the effort involved. Okay. Then we will get into the details. Is this how we will approach every project? Not necessarily, but these are the very basic fundamental questions that should arise to you. You would go very deep into creating a very large understanding document at the end, and that can become your test plan. Now, unless we go through this process, we cannot really continue forward. So the first thing we need to do is identify an application. This is our first project. Okay, this is almost like a project one. Project one, automation plan for beginners. Okay, as we go into the next project and so on, we will look into experimenting many different applications. But more recently, I have been doing, and a lot of ITeLearn members have been working on the testing of our website itself. So you would see that this is the first example I'm going to start with. We will go about answering each of these, and then we will move to a different project, a different application altogether in the next one. Okay. Now, there is another thing I can write, brief overview about the application under test. What is AUT? That is the application under test. And some of these things, as we go about, you can take these acronyms down and create kind of a table of your own understanding that you can refer to. And what I suggest, in fact, to a lot of members is the real way to learn through my sessions is, as you go back and watch these videos, is to just view the videos, just watch them. Okay, do not try and practice along with it for the first time. Take any one live batch video and, like a movie, end to end watch it. Spend about a week, about 15-20 hours in just viewing and watching it. Okay, as you're watching it, you should take notes of what I'm saying, some of the key components of what I'm saying into a notebook or type it in somewhere. Okay, this notebook or reference will give you a great understanding of a lot of concepts. You will not master it in the first time when you're just watching the videos and taking the notes, but you'll get an overview understanding of what is there. What are frameworks, how do you write scripting, and you'll get a basic idea very quickly, end to end. Then you go back and repeat the same things, and this time, instead of notes, you do a practice on the application. You see what I'm saying? So you should do it this way, and within a month, you will become very, very strong in QTP. So for example, when these sessions are going on, do not try and practice it for the first time immediately. The only reason I say that is, as you get into practice, you will start encountering challenges. As you encounter challenges, you will want to focus on solving them and going about spending more effort and time in that. But through this structure of step one of watching, taking notes, and getting an overall understanding, and then repeating the same, either with the same recordings or different recordings, but this time, instead of just taking notes, practice on it, you will really master automation using QTP. And in fact, it's the same thing with Selenium as well. Irrespective of VB script being programming, you coming from probably a non-development or a scripting or programming background, this worked for thousands of our members, and it will really do well for you as well. All right, cool. So now, when I say brief overview about application under test, what I'm trying to say is, what is this application about? Okay, this is a e-learning portal. It has, okay, then you can say membership access to protected content for viewing the e-learning videos and files. Okay, e-commerce to handle the end-to-end, okay, payment for new members and so on. Let's say that this is the overall functionality of the application at high level. Good to always write it down because you'll get a good understanding. For example, let's say tomorrow you go and join a project with Bank of America or a PayPal, okay, and then PayPal will come to you and say that, you know, hey, unless you know what PayPal does and get a good understanding, you wouldn't know what you want to do. You will not work on end-to-end about PayPal. You will work on a specific module about PayPal. But the first thing is you should be able to tell what PayPal is. PayPal is an online merchant account provider who has members across the globe who can open an account and do transfers, who can use that account to accept payments through credit cards or other PayPal, and then it makes it very easy through an easy system to do this entire transactions. Okay, the description of the project is what you'll put it. All right. Now, what is current manual testing process? How is the testing being done right now? Once you do that, that is when you will know how you want to automate it. Okay. Unless you do that, you don't know why you need to automate, what you need to automate, and so on. So before we go there, let me talk about the manual testing process. What happens in a typical application? Not necessarily that this is what is happening with ITeLearn or any other projects, but how applications go through changes, why they need to be tested, and so on. Then we will get into the automation portion. Is it making sense? Any questions of what I'm trying to explain so far, please? And I'm assuming that you are able to see my screen with the writings that I'm doing in the background. If you have any questions, anything, put it in the chat, please, because there are lots of members. I only accept questions over the chat. If you're watching the video and you have questions, use our technical forum, which is there on the website, and you can put up the questions there. Okay. All right. So let's continue now. The overall testing process at a high level, not in depth, but at a high level to get you a basic idea. Okay. Application is all about functionality. Let us assume that this box out here is representing the scope of that application. When I say the scope, a scope is basically what is covered as a functionality in the application. Now, for example, we are talking about ITeLearn. So, is ITeLearn taking care of money transfer activities between members? Is that in the scope? No, that is not a part of what is being done in the website. Is membership, applying for new membership, a part of the scope? Yes, it is. The functionality that the application has or what it is supposed to be doing is defined by this box. So anything that happens in this box is the current way of working. Okay, it is, for example, we are talking about a 2013 BMW. Okay, or let's talk a 2012 BMW model. All right, it is supposed to be working in a specific manner. All right, it has specific way of working. It has a specific engine capacity, seats, styling, body styling, and so on. Now what will happen is you will see that the application goes through some changes. Okay, what kind of a changes? 1 second, please. What kind of a changes? Changes that affect the application's functionality, how it is working, and so on. Okay, so the changes are you add a new concept a new module is added to the application, or an old functionality is replaced or taken out, or it has become extinct, or you just modify the old functionality. Okay, so there's some change to it. That is how changes can happen in an application. So for example, ITeLearn. Today I'm talking about providing a new option for members to take quiz. Okay, is that already active? Online quiz taking functionality on the website? Not yet, but it is under development. It is currently going to be moved into production soon. So we are developing it and we are adding it as a new functionality, and we're going to move it into the new box, which will be the complete functionality of the application without this, with this, and the modified version of this, including all the old test functionality. So this is the functionality 1, or the version. Let's talk about version 1. Okay, and this is the version 2 of the application. Okay, as it is moving from one version to the other version, what happens is basically called as a release. Okay, the application is released into a new version. So for example, the BMWs that I was talking about, there was a 2012 model. It had specific things. But when they were designing the 2013 model, they felt, hey, this is what the market is looking at. Let's change the styling. Let's change the headlights into more LED type of lights. Let's change the tire quality. Let us get more additional security features into it. Let's put a iPad docking station, or let's now change the docking station to iPhone 5 to be able to take that new plugs and so on. So all these come as part of the list of requirements. Okay, then the application, or in that case the product, gets changed and it comes up. Now when you go in, you will be conducting the testing in between out here. All right, so you will be testing to make sure that the old functionality is working correctly, the new functionality that has been added is working correctly, there is no more access to the earlier functionality, and whatever needs to get modified is now there. Why should I test the old functionality? Because we don't know if while fixing something you all automatically broke something else, and that is the reason we need to do it. Okay, so that becomes very critical. Even if they release a new 2013 model of BMW, they'll still test to see if the brakes are working fine. Is it handling the curves on a specific speed? So all those basic things have to be tested, because they want to make sure that when they come to the new version, all is working correctly. After a go ahead, a green check mark has come and testing team has released it and said that this is good, is certified that it is good for movement, you go into the next version. This cycle continues over and over again, and that is basically your regression testing, especially your function. This is all functional testing. When we say regression testing, what we mean is you repeat a lot of these many times, okay? And that becomes important. Now, do you get a good idea on how the testing is being done? Does this give you a good idea, team, everyone? All right, so now what would happen with this being done? Let's go back and look into our list of tasks that we put for ourselves. Any points or questions, please do not raise your hand. There is an option, but I want you to use the chat instead. Okay. Now, did you understand the current manual testing process? Yes. Let's say at a high level, this is what it is. When you go into project, you will ask specific questions. There could be specific variations. There could be smaller releases between the bigger releases. Sometimes how the actual movement happens between each boxes, where you do testing and so on. All this nitty-gritties will come into it. Now we'll talk about automate what portion test cases and scenarios. Right? So here is where things will get critical. So for this, what I will do is first, let's talk about creating a few test cases. In this sheet, I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to name this to plan. Okay, what is it that we plan? Here, I'm going to talk about test cases. All right. All this background is important, team, because this will really put a solid foundation for you when you get into QTP execution. And hopefully we will do some bit of execution today and tomorrow. So now we'll talk about a test case. So test case is nothing but a description of a few test steps that will help us to execute a specific functionality on the application to see if it is working correctly or not. All right. For example, test case for an automobile car is when you pull the handle, the door is supposed to open, okay, with a certain amount of pressure, and it will undock itself from the door main. It will open, and then it will open only so much distance. It won't go beyond a certain angle or distance away from the vehicle, and then when you put it back, it locks. The same test case, if it is in a locked position, what would happen when you try and move the handle? So the description of the detailed description of what steps need to get executed to be able to perform a specific operation is all about a test case. Okay, so for each test case you can have a test step. One or more test steps would be there for each test case, and then what is expected out of it. What do you expect for that specific test step to see? What do you expect to see? And what is the outcome of it? Okay, then we can say is it a pass or a fail, which is your result of that test step or case. This is a high-level template of how you could write or display different test cases. Now, let's talk about quickly a couple of test cases in the given functionality of our application. Okay, so one test case is, for example, okay, test case ID, and then actually I can give something called as insert one left, and I'll say test case name also. You can name your test cases or describe them and say what it does. Okay. Now let's look at our website to get a brief idea about what is it that we will do. Have we mastered the functionality of the application? Not yet. Okay, the functionality of the application is not yet mastered, so we will get there as we go about it. But you are currently looking at an existing test case, which in this case we are writing it for the first time. Okay, so for example, a visitor comes to the website, okay, goes to the member login here, clicks on it, okay, enters the email address, let's say Karthik at ITeLearn.com, enters a password, okay, and clicks on login. What happens when you do this? Okay, that is the test case. Now I'm going to say this is called TC001. Okay, now it is a very simple description of a test case. You could have something more descriptive in terms of the name itself. It is like how do I say, how you can break down into a specific terminology so any user looking at it can easily identify what it is. Okay, I could say ITeLearn, let's say ITE is a short word for ITeLearn hyphen member, okay, I'll say MEM hyphen login hyphen TC001. So I'm going to say that any test case that is representing a member login TC001 will be out here. Okay, with this, what is the test case description? You can write it. It will repeat it for the same thing. Now in this case, I'm going to say simple login operation for a member. Okay, and how do we do this? By visit first one. First thing is visit www.ITeLearn.com. Okay, click on member login here at top right. Okay, then enter user enter email, enter password, okay, enter click login, confirm login. Okay, this is one test case team. Very quickly we created a test case. What it has is a detail at a not a very in-depth but at a high level as to what you will see in it. All right, it is the same test case ID for the, oops, Control C, Control V. Okay, it is the same test case ID for all steps in it. Okay, you could write at detail, at length as to what is expected at each step. Okay, at this step I expect to test this, I expect to see this, and so on. At this step I expect to do this, and so on. Okay, this way you've created one test case. Based on this, there could be a large team of IT professionals in a testing organization, right? Your testing teams are not one, two. You could have 40, 50 members, even hundreds of people in the testing depending on the size of the applications, okay? So there could be a person called A who is very good in the functionality of the application. He's a QA analyst, okay, who is also a very strong functional domain knowledge person on that specific application. So he or she will actually write the test cases, okay? He or she will write the test cases. Why? Because it is very important to write correct test cases. If you don't write the correct test cases, then you would not be able to execute it. And then you would see a person B is absolutely different from person A, is not sitting next to him or her, and is in a different location, works in a different time zone, will actually execute the test cases. He or she will look at what A has done and then go about blindly executing it. As he or she encounters details, they will look at what is the outputs and so on. If they find that, hey, this, I have a question, they can write an email and say that, hey, I have a question in this. So you may have 3 QA analysts in a team, but you may have 30 Bs in a team who are actually executing the tests. All right. Writing of the test cases is very critical. Execution is not. So far, we're all talking about manual testing only. Now, as part of this, you would notice that automation also, there will be a few people who will write the automation scripts. There are many other people who are using it or executing it. Okay. If you have a good way of writing it, you can then balance these numbers. We will come to it later. Okay. So the writing of test cases is very critical. Now, what I'm trying to, okay, here, thanks for pointing it, this is a test step ID. Okay. What is expected, rather we will say test step to be performed. What is the step that we need to perform? Then I'll give this test step ID here. Control C, Control V. This I will say is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And it is the same test case. All these are grouped under one test case. Okay. And then we have the other ones. Here I have a test case 002. Okay. This is a new test case altogether. I don't know how many steps will be there, but let's talk about a new test case. At a very high level, then we'll talk about automation now. Now this didn't happen because I don't have the right password. But let's talk about free V email. Okay, this is a different test case altogether, different module. But a user could come in here and enter a name, enter email at k@k.com, something like this, and click on get your free videos now, for example. Then we are expecting to see a confirmation page saying that, okay, thank you for applying. You will get your videos shortly, something like that. Okay, thank you for joining our mailing list. Then you will see the check your inbox for free video content. Okay, so this is very simple. This will say free videos membership. Visit ITeLearn.com. Look for pop-up. Okay, window. Enter name. Enter email. Okay, click get free videos. Confirm success. Oops. Operation. Sorry, team, give me a second, please. All right, team, I'm sorry about that. I'm back now. All right, so here we're talking about how we confirm that the free videos have been applied for. Okay, so these are two different test cases that have been created. Now we are talking about automating them. Right? So to automate, how do we go about doing it? I will come to a way of talking about why do we need to automate, the advantages of it in a later session, please. Okay, most probably tomorrow we'll look into it. It's a very important concept, and I will introduce you to the concept. As we go along, you will be mastering the ability to do the same. All right. Now let's talk about how do we convert this, okay, into a automation test case in QTP, and that we have to look at how to automate, convert from manual to QTP. All right. When I'm saying QTP team, I'm referring to the same thing. It is UFT 11.5. We are using that word interchangeably, but primarily the functional testing, the GUI testing is done through the QTP interface itself. Is now let's go and take a quick look into our tool of QTP. I'm not sure how much time we have, but we'll look into it. Here is where you can come and create a test for your automating a specific test. Now, before you automate, you got to know that this is a tool that will listen to your instructions. Okay. So if you give it the correct instructions, it will do the correct things. Right? As simple as that. It is a remote control to your television. If you press the correct channel, it will do it. If you increase the volume, it will do it. Okay. If you press the wrong buttons, it will not do what you want it to do, because it has been programmed to follow instructions. What to press for what operation is what you need to learn. How do you write them is what you will learn. But at a simple concept, that is what it is. Now, what we are trying to do is take a manual testing activity that we are performing and make sure that we are able to automate it. When we say automate, what do we expect it to do? We expect the same testing to be performed automatically by a tool and not by a human. That is the whole agenda of it. As soon as you open the HP Unified Functional Testing, either the license or the trial version, you would see this typical view. This is a changeable view because you could slide things around. You would see various aspects of this tool being mentioned in here and so on. Okay. As you go about deeper and deeper, you would be able to master the different components of it. To begin with, I really don't want you to focus on a lot of things, okay, in terms of the complexities of what is there and so on. Eventually, you will learn them as you go along. For example, it's very simple. You go into a showroom and you're buying a brand new car. You don't look at all the working features of the car. You're not trying to master everything and then get the car to your home. The basic things, how much is the mileage, what is the price, is the basic functionalities, features here and there and so on. And then as you go about, you will see, hey, my car does this as well. It even has this functionality. I never knew there was this security, but we knew that basically there's a lot of functionality. So as you use it as a user of the tool, you will master a lot of these things. Okay. The first thing that we do is you could start by going to File and creating a new test. A test is basically your new automation test that we're trying to do. All right. So go and create a new test. As we go along, you will see various other things that you could do about it. But now we're focusing on the tests. And now it will talk about what do you want to do. Is it a GUI test? And this is referring to the QuickTest Professional, a QTP test. Or are we talking about a application programming interface test, more with services and so on? Or is it for business process test? And so on. Okay, we are focused on the GUI portion only, which is the QTP portion for our specific need. And here is where you can select that instead of something else, and then you could give it a name. So we're going to call this as ITeLearn, or rather we know this anyway. So I'll say J19 test 1. Okay, this is what we are giving as a name to our test. Where do you want to store it? it is being stored right now in users the documents in under unified functional testing, that is the folder, and this will be the name of the test that we create, and say create. As soon as you do that, you could be able to go back to documents under which unified functional testing, and here I created the J19 test. As soon as you did create this, it has created a bunch of files and a couple of folders. This is the basic structure of what gets generated when you create a QTP test. Okay, the interface is what is new, otherwise everything else is the same. Now, one of the first things you would notice is the introduction of a flow chart. What is a flow chart? A flow chart is a representation of various stages or steps in a execution in a timeline manner, or how the information or how the activity flows from one stage to the other. Okay, let's talk about a simple thing like a software development life cycle. How would you go? You would start with a need or requirements, then you would do a design of the requirements of how you wish to accomplish it, then you will develop or build it, then you will test it, and then you will move it into production, right? So each of those are steps in it. As you go about doing it, you will notice that you could add more components of what if this happens, what if that happens, and so on. At the moment, the focus is not to learn or master this portion. At the moment, we are still trying to be focused on action 1 and give a specific scripts in. So whatever we do, we will create under this main action. Okay, this is the action 1, which is by default existing for every QTP test. Every test in QTP will have at least one action, and that will be part of this. Okay, and then you will see various other features that we will get into later. But for now, this is the portion where you're going to write your VB script. And here you can start with writing your first test. Okay, so it's as simple as writing your initial test case, what you want to do, and so on. So let's start typing what we want to do. Okay, execute test case TC001. What is the name, in fact, that we have? Test cases. See, execute TC001. So this is a note that we are putting to ourselves. The main difference as we go, team, and I'm starting from very scratch, very ground level, so I might be going at a slower pace than you would expect, but do note, our graph of learning will be exponential. We will be increasing in the complexity and the speed at which we will learn. So as we go into 4th, 5th session and so on, you will see there's been a significant increase in how we are executing things. Okay, this is a note that we are putting for ourselves. All right, so that means that, let me try and use highlight again. Am I able to do it? No, I'm not able to do it for some reason. Okay, now I should be able to do it, I guess. Some reason the pen is not highlighting it, but this specific text is a note from our end. Okay, everything that we do on QTP is basically all about, all right, so basically what we're saying is this is, oh come on, why can't I draw? This is a defect with the GoToMeeting where I'm not able to draw. Okay, so basically let me talk about this. There is VB script. Okay, VB script is the crux of everything that we do that stands between us and QTP. Okay, primarily QTP understands the specific language called VB script. Okay, so if I as a user or a developer or a tester need to communicate with HP QTP/UFT, the mediator in between, okay, is nothing but there's no bar. Okay. The mediator in between is VB script. Okay, and that lets us connect with what we want to communicate and discuss with HP. HP tool understands VB script. That is the mediator for us to communicate. Any instructions that we need to give it as part of this script that we do as part of VB. Now, what we see here, you will see that everything should be a VB script statement. What we understand is not the same way that VB script refers. Everything has a specific meaning. This is a note, so do a Control M, which is a shortcut to telling that this line is a comment. Okay, do not treat it as an execution or a VB script statement. It is simple comment. Do not do anything with it. Now I can give other instructions. Instructions can be as simple as saying that print hello, this is VB script execution line. And what happens with this is when you run this program, you will see that this specific line number 2 will get executed. Okay. At the moment, what you've done is you've created a completely new program. You've written a couple of lines, and when you click on this icon called run, the execution of the test will happen. Okay. As part of test execution, what you would see is a result location. So before the test happens, you have an option to say, where do you want the results to come? For this test, when I execute, there will be a results. Why results? Results are basically saying that QTP is running tests. So every test needs to have results. You need to know what happened. Is it a pass or a fail and so on. And that needs to come up. So in this case, I will say keep it as temporary results, or you can choose a new run results folder. Okay. You can leave it as new run results folder or a temporary. So let's talk about new run results folder briefly, and then we will look into temporary results. Now I'm going to click on run. As soon as that is done, you will see the UI changed, the whole layout changed, some things have happened in the background, and then we have received a pop-up. What we have now got is the run results. The results of having executed this test. This test was executed. It took total of 2 seconds. It was started on so and so. Did it pass? Did it fail? Is it a warning? What is the current run? And so on. And you could go in depth and see what happened at each level. Okay. Now you would see that this execution was not really a big test. It's a very small one. I don't want you to focus on the run results at the moment. But as you go about, you will see eventually that it is important for you to be able to analyze those results. Now, why did I do this? Just as a dummy to show you that something has happened in the background. But what really happened is an output that has come on the screen in this output dialog here. Okay, this is called as a print log. Anything that I give as a print in the statement will come up out here. So if I say the same thing, print, and say this hello, this is second line. Okay, and now re-execute it. Basically, I've changed the test a little bit and I'm running it again. You would see the same thing getting executed, but you will see a different log coming up. Okay, each time as we go about executing it, you will see a run results folder is getting created. Okay, earlier we just had one action 0 and action 1 folder. Now you will see a result 1 and a result 2 also created. Every time you do a run, you will create this. Until you actually get into testing, you do not want to have results because you're not going to go back and look at it. We are still learning right now. We're not actually executing it. So you may not want to look at those results. So you can take it away during that run execution. At this point, you will see that the old line is there and those 2 new lines also have come in. Okay, this is just to give you an idea about the layout of the whole thing team. But now what we need to do is really get into the how do we take these steps and put it into our program. Here are the steps, and this is what I need to go and put in here. I'm not interested in this print statements. What I'm interested are these steps for this test case. Okay. Sorry, I don't think we should get into starting that right away today, but we will do it tomorrow. Okay. But what I did is I copied them here and I've put them out here. Now what I need to do is give instructions. Okay. As a manual operator, if I know what is visiting ITeLearn.com, how to get there, I will be able to do it. But if I need to teach a tool to do it, how will we do it? Okay. One of the easiest ways to do that is the record option that you see here, where we are saying QTP, you're smart enough to see what I'm doing and be able to record the operation and store it. The other way, which we will use 99.99% of the times, would be by writing your own steps. The only difference is if you're good in writing VB scripting, you'll be able to write your own steps, or you will use the easy option of record. I will show you how record works, but I will not focus on it. When we get into tomorrow's session, we will go about writing the test. First we will record it, then we will write our own test. All right. And I want each of you to just focus on writing. Team, I'm going very, very gradually on these sessions, primarily for you to get a strong foundation laid on automation. Okay. Once this is done, then it will be easy for you to capture what will be coming later on. All right. Now, at this point, any questions on what we have done so far? Please do not have questions that are ahead in future or that are not relevant to the current context, please. Okay, please let me know. Okay, let's see. What about the input parameter during the run, in the run window? So let's see. When I click on run, all right, there is the options, and then you will see input parameters. Okay, so when we get into the execution of the test, you will see that you will be able to create a test level inputs that you can send to say how the test needs to get executed. For that, you need to know what parameters are. We will discuss them, and we will talk about how you can give test level input parameters or run level input parameters, or how you could give it as part of an external source through data-driven frameworks and so on. All right. All right. Any other questions, please? Is in real-time record option is used or scripting is used? Real-time. So basically, record option is not used by anyone. It is very rarely used. It is not because it is not a preferred way of doing things. It is a very layman way of doing things. Every professional in the world, worldwide, does not use record because writing your own customized script is what is important. It is easy option provided for very, very beginner levels of the scripting, not really from a functional point. What is active screen? So when we come to the record options, we'll look into the active screen. This basically collects information about what is happening at each step of record. A picture is taken of the application and stored here. Okay. When we go into the next session of record, you will be able to see the active screen. You will cover later cross-browser testing. Yes. So IE and Firefox, we will look into both the applications. We will start with one and we'll go off into the other one quickly. All right. Any other quick questions, please? Is it a must that we should know VB scripting? So basically, Daniel, very simple. Yes, it is a must, a simple word, but must is a very small thing to say, is it a must to know VB scripting? VB scripting is mandatory. Without it, there is nothing you need to know about QTP, okay? Any QTP job worldwide, if you apply for and you say that you don't know VB scripting, you can just walk out of that interview because it's not going to happen. It is not for non-VB scripting professionals. You have to learn VB scripting. You will go about mastering it as we go into the session. Recording a script is much faster than writing the script. Correct. Recording is definitely faster. So what happens is basically, if I look into it, the entire automation, okay, is about, okay, you plan to automate it, then you go about writing or recording the automation, then you go about executing the automation script, and you go about maintaining it. All right. A major portion of your time is spent in each of these phases, but the intent is how can we write so that we can focus on easier execution and easier maintenance. Okay, and for that you will see overall, while writing is more time consuming than record, if I add everything together instead of this, if I say plus, okay, this is the overall automation time, you will see that the eventual total automation, it will be better, much easier for us when you write it yourself instead of recording. Okay, that is the reason you need to go into writing than recording. plus the limit to which what you can do with recording is also limited. I'm new to IT, so will there be a detailed class on VB scripting? So what we're doing is absolutely detail level. We are going from the basics and so on. As I told you, it's very simple. Stage 1 is you watch the videos, then you take notes, okay? Watch, then take notes, and then you get a good overview and understanding, okay? Stage 2 is basically when you watch it on a different tutorial altogether. We have hundreds of tutorials in the program. Then you practice this time, okay? Then you really master it, right? This is how you go about doing it. And it is just part of VB scripting is a very, very, very simple automation, or rather scripting language to learn. And I will make it even more easier for you to be able to learn it, because I believe it's very simple. You just need to learn it in the right manner. All right. You can also go. There are hundreds of free tutorials that I've created on VB scripting. You have access to them. Sign up for these free videos. You can see it. All the sessions saved, where to access. So these documents, I will put it as part of the file access on the website. Okay. In fact, for example, if you go to QTP videos or any other videos, you will see that only members will have access to some of these files here. Every chapter has files, or for example, even here, download QTP scripts and files below. I have not logged in, so I don't have access to it. Otherwise, you should be able to see those access files here. So for this batch also, you will start seeing this access as we go along. I will not upload files every day. Once every 3-4 days, I will do it. It'll be easy for you to maintain it later. Do we need to automate all the functionality of the application? I will come to it. Aditi, please remind me as we go along in the next sessions. In fact, it will get automatically answered. What portions of automation should you, of the application should you automate? What should be the reasoning behind doing so, and so on? We'll come to it. Will the training include document materials to read, or will just contain videos? So, Ria, there is plenty of content. In fact, much more than what you can spend to view as documentation that you can access, especially in your welcome page of members. You will see a huge collection of documentation. The most important part of the documentation are the scripts that get created. All the automation framework VB scripts that we create as part of the sessions is what it is, okay? So the placements and where is the link? There will be another link here where you'll be able to download all the files for some of the testing and automation. Which video to watch for the next session? So as we go along, I will let you know what videos to watch before the next session. Right now, you don't have to watch anything except for what it is. Please suggest books for VB scripting. You do not require any books. Just follow my instructions, watch my videos, and focus on it. You'll be fine. Okay. Do not buy any books for VB scripting. You don't need it. Okay. As part of what we will do, it is more than enough for you. And then as you go along, and when you want to go really advanced into it, then you can look at some of the books. Download instructions have been shown in the video 1, so you can follow it from the first session, Arjun. Do we also need to know manual testing along with QTP? It is preferable because you know the overall testing concept. You need to know testing either way, but can you learn automation using QTP without knowing manual testing? Yes. Is it better to have manual testing knowledge? Yes. All right, everyone. Thank you. Then what we'll do is we'll continue tomorrow, and then we'll go forward from there. There are plenty of other questions that have come in. Please try and put your questions up ahead in time instead of waiting for the last minute so that it gets answered, please. If there's anything that is left unanswered, we will start with the questions tomorrow. You can put up the questions there, and then we'll go there. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. We'll see you back tomorrow. Same link, but I think it's only for the confirmed participants. So you can connect with the team offline to be able to continue. But otherwise, I'll see you back tomorrow, and we'll continue from there. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Bye for now. Thank you.